Only 21 million Bitcoin ever? Really? Why? And how is blockchain infiltrating the everyday stuff that we do, well, every day? Finally, is it possible to tokenize liquid assets like real estate and art? I mean, can you actually own a piece of the Mona Lisa in the blockchain? Why don't we find out together as we explore the crypto world on episode number 21, Blackjack, of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
Greetings, fellow blockchain blockheads. And I don't know if we got a name for you guys yet, but it is episode 21 of the Bad Crypto Podcast. I am Joel Comm with my co-host, Mr. Travis Wright, and together we are the leaders of the Crypto Curious.
Bienvenido al episodio 21.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yes, episode 21 is live and in your ear holes.
Where it belongs. It's where it belongs. Except when
ear
it's in your eye holes so that you can see. We've even talked about the idea of perhaps doing a live recording on Facebook Live sometime in the not too distant future, yeah?
I think that's a great idea. Maybe it's a once a month type of a thing, or maybe only bad coin holders can access the live video.
Oh, you know what? You might be onto something here. By the way, we are making this up as we go along. We really are still learning, and we're lifelong students. And from the sounds of it, you guys are learning along with us. Thank you so much for listening. We are now in 138 countries. We have close to 500 people that are holding bad coin in their wallets. And yes, you can still get some free, but you got to figure out how. Go to badcryptopodcast.com and just search for bad coin, and you will solve this problem because we believe in you. And make sure you subscribe to this podcast and to our page, because we are going to have specials just for bad crypto insiders, but we're not going to tell you what they are yet.
You know, guys, we want to say we love the engagement you guys are throwing at us. This is great. We love the questions that you guys are providing as well. And there's multiple ways you guys can give us questions. You can go to the website. You can hit contact, and there's a contact form, and you can say what you want to contact us about. Questions, tips, sponsorship, interview things. There's all kinds of different ways you can reach us on that. You can reach us on Facebook. You can email us at badcryptopodcast@gmail.com. And then we have a phone number. And our phone number is 708-885-9030. That's attached to Google Voice. It calls in. It goes right straight to voicemail. You're able to leave your message. We're able to take that MP3. And if it's a good question, we might put it on the show. And also, we have it on Facebook. So if you can go leave us a message on Facebook, just like here Lucas did.
Yeah, Trav, so Lucas asked a few questions that are all interrelated on Facebook. He wanted to know, why are currencies capped? Why does Bitcoin cap at 21 million and Litecoin is at 81 million? And
it's actually 84 million, though.
Is it 84 million?
Yeah,
okay.
It caps at 84.
So these are, these are some of the questions that he wants to know. And so why is there a cap on Bitcoin? I mean, the government can print all the money they want. Why can't, when all the Bitcoin is mined, they go, you know what, we're just going to make some more?
Or we're just going to fork. Right. I think really the issue is scarcity, right? So when we're talking about fiat currency like the US dollar or the yuan or the pound, the euro, they can print as many of them as they want. They're not tied to any intrinsic asset. They just basically turn on the printer press and they go. So here, Satoshi Nakamoto, what he wanted to do was to create scarcity over time. That's why approximately every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin reward is halved. And so for the first 4 years, basically, I think it was like 240,000 blocks or something, or 260,000 blocks. The first one, every 260,000 blocks or whatever that number is, it then halves. So they used to give out 50 Bitcoin per every 10 minutes. Now, then it was half of that, which was 25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes whenever those blocks were solved. And now we're actually in the third phase of that, because it's split again back in 2016, and it is now 12.5 Bitcoin per block. So if you actually phase that out over time, you're actually able to see that's exactly why the cap pops out at 21 million, because it halves every 4 years, or every 260,000 blocks. It halves. And then, so in the year 2140 or something, that's when the final Bitcoin will be mined. And so that's all the Bitcoin there will ever be. Knowing that
it's going to be yours?
it's going to be whoever mines it, or who's part of those pools.
Mined. I got it. Okay.
Mine. Yeah. And Litecoin is actually built on the blockchain of Bitcoin, but they just said, look, we don't want it to be 21 million. We want it to be 84 million. So there's 4 times as many Litecoin as there are Bitcoin. And that just, that helps scarcity. So over time, in theory, the price should increase, which so far in the 8 years since it's been released, it has increased in value. So let's hope the trend continues.
Keep the questions coming. We do like them, especially when we have an answer that is maybe right. Let's check the news desk. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter have a surprising new threat, the blockchain. This story by Jordan Kessler on Inc.com. The major social sites are centralized monopolies, right, Travis?
Yeah, absolutely. There is, they own the site. They do have, shareholders that have purchased stock in their company, but they are basically the ones who control all of the content. They control all of the data that is in that. So, they are the main beneficiaries are these hubs. They are centralized content managers, and they are selling all of the data, right, to advertisers and to basically make money on your behalf. I mean, how big of a company is Facebook now? Like 600 billion or something crazy? 400 billion? What's their market cap?
I don't know what their market cap is, but I know they have over 2 billion people that use the site, and I don't remember them ever offering to pay me for the content that I post there. I don't remember Twitter ever saying, hey, you've got all these followers and thanks for using the site, here's some monies. And YouTube, you get a few pennies for your videos. I mean, you have to be getting millions of views to make any kind of money at all on ads on YouTube. So really everything we create there is we're building on their land and we're not getting anything. But that is, it's already changing. It's changing slowly, but it's changing. There's a site out there called Steemit.com, and in the future maybe we'll do an entire segment on Steemit, and there's a social currency behind Steemit that's called Steem. And what's the market cap on Steem right now? Do you know what the price is?
The market cap on Steem, last time I saw it was like $1.50 per coin. I did just double check Facebook's market cap. It's 492 billion, right?
Okay.
And then Google's is right about $650 billion. And there's been a big problem, even with Twitter. Twitter's valuation is not anywhere near that. But they've been censoring content. Like if they don't approve of your free speech, they approve of speech that's in line with their beliefs. But if you decide to think outside of their box that's approved, then they are literally demonetizing people's videos on YouTube. Facebook is eliminating certain sites from even being able to be shared. Google is delisting sites that they don't approve of, that are not within their narrative. That's a problem. And Twitter is doing the same thing. They are banning accounts, and they're shadow banning accounts where you can still tweet, but nobody sees them. And so,
yeah, you're right, Travis. In fact, I just saw an article that talked about Google threatened to demonetize. It was a right-leaning site and the article was attempting to differentiate between the alt-right and neo-Nazis, because they're not the same thing. They're not. If you lump everybody together, then it's a big mistake. And this article was attempting to differentiate, and Google said this was hate speech, and they told the site, you have to take this article down or we are going to turn off your ads. That is big brother, very scary. So this stuff needs to be decentralized. So one example of it is Steam. By the way, I looked it up. It's got a $377 million market cap. Price as of right this minute is $1.57, and there's 240 million and change Steam that are available. I'm on Steam, and is Bad Crypto on Steam? Do we have an account yet?
It has not, it's not been approved, which is weird. So we did go through. I have mine, at TW, TEEDUBYA. You are Joel Com.
I'm actually Minor Profit, MINORPROPHET. We'll put that in the show notes. Hey, anybody at Steam listening, get Bad Crypto approved so we can start distributing our content there. Anyway, there's a lot more blockchain solutions that are going to be coming that are going to allow people to create, share, and monetize their content on a distributed ledger via various social sites. And I'm excited about that. I think that that's a really good move and can't wait to see it come to fruition, because neither Google nor Mark Zuckerberg should be the final arbiter of what you can say online.
Absolutely. That is frustrating. What else do we have in the news? Next one.
Oh, this is kind of new. We talk about real world applications of things that we do, we take for granted in our lives that people encounter, in their daily life, or at least some point of their life, and how blockchain can help to improve them. And I ran across two pieces. One of them is on Coindesk.com, and it says library chain. U.S. government grants $100,000 for new blockchain research. It's a grant to a bunch of researchers that want to see how can they apply the blockchain to public library systems.
Yeah, it's interesting to take a look at that, because remember back in the day, you'd go into a library and they had the Dewey, well, they still have the Dewey Decimal System, but those card catalogs, and you have to go in and where's the book at exactly? Well, now with digital books, it's a lot easier. You can actually check out books from an app. So it's interesting to see how they might be utilizing blockchain to make book checking out, or just researching, or being able to find books, or sharing books amongst universities. Or
yeah, I'm not sure what it looks like yet, but it's cool to see that they are researching it, and the government is giving money to get behind it. Then there's this other story I found subsequently on Coindesk. Illinois, as in the state of, launches blockchain pilot to digitize birth certificates. Remember how we've talked in the past that on the a blockchain like Ethereum that has smart contracts, that you can put all kinds of information that then becomes, immutable and indisputable across this distributed ledger. In this case, a startup called Evernym is wanting to have parents and doctors be present at the time of birth and officially log the birth on a permissioned blockchain.
It's fascinating to think that your kid at the moment of birth is immediately put on the blockchain. That's going to freak some people out, right? For one.
Well, we're documenting the stuff already. I mean, the hospital is documenting the birth. There's a reason we're documenting when people are born and when they die, right? We have to keep an accurate, account of who's alive and who's no longer with us. And so what's wrong with making that indisputable? I guess it would be harder for somebody to perhaps disappear if they felt the need to do that.
Well, one thing would be is that if they're keeping track of folks on the blockchain, exactly who they are, right? There's been a big problem with in the United States, or at least conversations around voting and voting IDs, and why we need one or why we don't need one or whatnot. So, if you're on the blockchain, you have an ID, you'll be able to verify who you are. When you're dead, you're not going to still be able to vote.
Right, and that is definitely a problem. And I think that voter registration should definitely be put on blockchain, and nobody should have a problem with that. If voter fraud isn't a problem, then it wouldn't show up, right, as a problem. But I have a hunch that it probably is.
You have to have
And
an
in this
ID to
case,
check out library books. You have to have an ID. You get pulled over by a cop. You have to have an ID. If I
to
want to
get a
cash a
weapon,
check, I have to have an ID. If I want to get on an airplane, I have to have an ID. But to vote for the president and all of our Congress and all of that, we don't need one? That
yeah.
just seems asinine to me.
And it needs to be put on blockchain. In this case, they're proposing that at birth, they cryptographically sign data that has your name, the date of birth, blood type, and some other details, and make it so it's tamper proof on the ledger that would only be accessible with consent from a legal guardian or up until the age that that person becomes a legal adult. So serious business, this blockchain thing. But hey, did you ever watch Silicon Valley on HBO?
I work, most of my clients actually, so I have a digital agency here in Kansas City, but most of my clients are in Silicon Valley. So I love that show. Big fan of it and pretty hilarious, actually.
Yeah, it's funny. You'll remember, Pied Piper was the compression technology that these guys developed that, they became the new unicorn. And they've even made a phony website, around the promotion of the show for Pied Piper. But apparently, according to this story on Cointelegraph.com, there's a few companies who can claim the title of being the real world Pied Piper. One of them is a decentralized cloud storage network called Storj, Storj, and another one which I actually encountered a few months ago, and I personally purchased a few of it because the coin was so darn cheap, which I know is not the reason to buy a altcoin, but it's called SIA, SIA, and it's a blockchain-based cloud storage system. So kind of Pied Piper becomes the real thing.
It does, and you're right. The SIA coin is still. That's actually the ID for that is SC. Still super cheap. It is 8/10 of a penny, actually.
And
So-
there's 29 billion of them
and that is why it
in
is so.
circulation.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
But it's an interesting idea that, imagine Dropbox for blockchain, right? Isn't that essentially what they're going for here?
There's another coin like this called Filecoin that I believe is going through an ICO right now, or did one recently. It was pretty big. Filecoin, they had one where they're sort of doing that same sort of distributed deal, and yeah, they're saying that's one of the biggest ICOs ever. I want to say it was 250 million or even more that have, and they're trying to do the same thing. Where basically, if you have processing storage available on your computer, or you have storage on your computer, then instead of having servers all over the world, let's use a portion of your hard drive or a portion of your external hard drives to store some of these files. And I guess compression is part of that, like with Pied
I
Piper.
think so. We'll discover as we maybe in the future we'll do a show just on this whole idea. I don't know. We don't know
Yeah,
what's
they
going to
raised
happen.
over 250 million, and it closed on the 21st of August. Filecoin did, but that was only available to accredited investors, mainly high worth individuals. So.
Cool. Well, we don't know what we're doing, except that we're going to go to our featured segment right now. It's time for our feature today, and it is a Bad Crypto Spotlight ICO interview, which is a mouthful.
It is. It's extra. It's an interview. We're spotlighting an ICO.
Part of the show, so it's not really extra, but there is extra to it because we're recording this interview on video. So those of you who are listening in your ears, you can't see us except in your mind's eye. And I don't know what that looks like, but I did get my hair cut. So there's that.
You did get your hair did. That is very nice. Very nice hair.
Very nice. And just want to let you guys know that we have a ton of companies coming to us and saying, interview us. We've got this cool product or company or ICO that we're doing, token. And we have had to turn away a bunch of them because we vet them. And we want to make sure that what we're bringing you, at least from our cursory investigation, brings value. And so this is a segment of the show that is sponsored and in full transparency. And we're letting you know that while we have vetted who we're bringing you today. We can't vouch for the certainty or uncertainty of the future. We're not making any investment advice here, because this guy and that guy, what aren't we?
We are not financial advisors. We are, checking this stuff out. We're checking out these really cool ICOs. They're doing interesting things. We're vetting ones that are coming through. Maybe they're good. Yeah. And then we're finding the ones that are like, oh my God, they're doing some really cool stuff. So we want to bring you those, because you know what? Those are the future ones that go to the moon. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe we find them interesting. And
we find them interesting. We're not wizards.
Further ado, no, without waiting any longer, we're going to introduce you to our guests. And sitting next to the wonderful Travis Wright and myself, from the other side of the world, all the way from Moscow in Russia, the fantastic country, all the way in the other hemisphere, is the one and only Valentin Prebrezhinsky. Did I get it close to right?
Yes,
I did. Valentin is the CEO of LAToken.com, a brand new tokenized crypto site thingamajigger that is extremely interesting to both Travis and myself. We spent some time prior to the interview today speaking with the team members, and this is a way to tokenize liquid assets such as real estate and works of art and precious metals, and we find this fascinating. So welcome to the show, Valentin.
Thank you. Nice to be in contact with your auditory and blockchain community. Liquid Asset Token is a platform which tokenize and make tradable real assets in cryptocurrency. So we bridge crypto economy with the real economy. We can make tradable on our crypto marketplace assets, which worth trillions of dollars. There are about 600 trillion of dollars of assets ranging from debt, which is 200 trillion, which is real estate is something also 200 trillion, equity companies, and even illiquid assets such as artworks can be traded because of tokenization. So you can buy a piece of Mona Lisa, or you can go and buy, go to our marketplace and buy tokenized Apple shares or gold right now. So I believe in few years, by 2025, crypto capitalization will exceed $5 trillion, and most of this capitalization will come from asset-backed tokens.
This is fascinating to us. So we've gone through the site. We'd actually had done some research on this even prior to, and so it's interesting to me. So when you say folks are going to be able to tokenize their real estate, they're going to be able to tokenize their stocks and their artwork that they're doing. How does that work? Like, so if I have a share of Apple, am I selling a token of that? Explain that to our audience so they maybe can understand what exactly LAToken does and how it tokenizes those and makes those assets available.
At the moment, we are trading 10 tokenized stocks. As I mentioned, it's Apple, it's Amazon, as well as Facebook, commodities, and it works like forwards. Forward is a contract which assumes that at a settlement date, there is a custody which will pay to you cash equal to the price of underlying asset. So if you bought tokenized Apple, you will get cash equal to price of Apple stock at the settlement date. So there is a date when prices of token and Apple converges; they become similar. That's how forward contracts works, and forward contracts works Turnover is tens of trillions dollars per annum. It's a very well developed instrument, and I traded forwards for 15 years. I worked at hedge funds. I was director of research at Swiss hedge fund for portfolio worth $200 million and managed my own hedge fund. Then I created back office to make proper settlement of such instruments. And I created marketplace for home equity, which is profitable. And based on this, I created a platform, Liquid Asset Token, and it works now. You can trade tokenized stocks. And we will add stocks worth of $150 billion within few weeks to double existing crypto capitalization. I am announcing it first time at your blog. So
okay,
we will
so
double.
I'm looking at Investopedia real quick because I don't know that some of our listeners may not understand what a forward contract and a futures contract are. And so looking at Investopedia, it says forward and future contracts, they have the same function. Both types of contracts allow people to buy or sell a specific type of asset at a specific time at a given price. And so that's kind of what you guys are doing with Liquid Asset Token, is you are allowing folks to do that essentially, correct?
Yeah, it works like you bought Apple share at a future settlement date. For example, today we are trading Apple, which settlement date is 1st of October. This means that by this date, you get cash equal to Apple, to the price of Apple share. So you don't get Apple, you get cash equal to Apple share. It's like you buy forward on silver. You don't get a ton of silver into your apartment. You get cash at a settlement date, which offset your kind of paid money, and you get profit or loss depending on price movement.
Those of us who are, in the States see the name LAToken, and you might immediately think Los Angeles, but that's not what it is. Of course, it's Liquid Asset Token. The website is LAToken.com, and the symbol that is associated with this token is LAT. So you get LATs for it. The ICO has already gone through the first round, and how many millions did you raise in that first round, Valentin?
$9.6 million. Now the number is bigger because Ethereum grew 25%. And we sold 30 million tokens. Initially, we prepared 25 million of tokens. However, because we have too excessive demand, we added 5 million tokens from reserve pool. And we tried to make sale as much diversified as possible. So many community early adopters can join us. And I hope that next round, the second round, which will start 1st of September, will be also available to the broad community.
Yeah, and so everybody knows they're planning up to 4 rounds of raise. So depending when you're hearing this, when you go to LAToken.com, up at the top, you'll see a link that says the token sale has started or begun. If you click there, you'll learn more. But what intrigues me about this is many times people ask us, are these things just currencies for people to trade, or are there actually practical applications? And what I really like about what I see here is this is an incredibly niched practical application. In fact, when you go to the site, you'll see pictures of business buildings, you'll see images of gold, you'll see images of artwork, and the front page is really simple. It says you can invest to buy liquid fractions of assets, or you can tokenize and sell fractions of your own assets. So let's bring this home. Give us a practical application of somebody who owns perhaps an ounce of gold. What can they do to sell that in this tokenized fashion?
I would say that the biggest user case is for crypto holders to diversify their crypto portfolio into real assets without exchanging crypto into fiat. So you go to our platform and buy tokenized Apple, and you get diversified your portfolio into Apple and other stocks and commodities. This is the biggest user case. You get exposure to real assets without converting crypto into fiat currencies, and you don't kind of pay this high transaction costs. Another user case is for less liquid assets, such as not tradable real estate, or perhaps artworks, or perhaps even gold at your apartment, which is a pretty rare situation. Normally you have apartment which is not completely leveraged, and you are borrowing against this apartment at the moment you take mortgage or something like this. You don't need this anymore. You can sell fractions of this apartment and get cash without interest, without rent. So why would you borrow if you have cash stored in bricks of your apartment? Sell them. That's what we provide for those who have less liquid assets. You can go to our platform, apply for token sale of your real estate, or perhaps works of art, or perhaps a mining farm. Then we will make a trial token sale to see the demand for your asset, and then we will make a legal work, which will include a trustee, which issue token and sell them, and at the same time purchases part of your property. And this trustee have the right to sell your entire property at the settlement date and distribute cash received out of the sale to the property owners, including token holders.
This is fascinating stuff, and if anybody is getting lost in what we're talking about here, within this conversation are actually the answers that many of you have been asking about how blockchains will bring practical application, and this is the type of thing that is going to be world changing. For the Bad Crypto Extra, we're actually going to do screen sharing and show you the site and how some of this process works. So to see the rest of it that's not in the audio podcast, make sure you go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Bad Crypto, and on our YouTube channel, which is Bad Crypto Podcast, and you'll be able to actually see for yourself what we're talking about. Travis, I know you had a question.
Yeah, so I'm curious about this, because say, for example, I have my home. My home's worth, for the sake of this example, 200 grand. And then I want to tokenize my home and then sell a percentage of the token that's worth in my home, right? So say I sell $10,000 worth of my home through liquid asset tokens, and then I want to sell my whole home later on. Now, 10,000 is owned by somebody else apparently, but how does the mortgage and the banks and all of that, how does that actually work? So I guess, you know, a lot of our audience is going to say, so what happens then if I want to sell my home? Like, how does the tokens actually work on that? Is it, do I have to pick what we're investing in, or is it part of a portfolio? It's kind of interesting. I think it's a challenge for some people to fully grasp.
Okay, when you sell 10% of your house, title ownership of this 10% now belongs to a trustee. Trustee could be a big bank with this service. It could be a big international firm like TFJ Group, and you signed a purchase agreement with them. Accordingly to this agreement, you cannot sell this house without participation of this trustee.
Is that a smart contract then, Valentin? Is that what's built into the Ethereum level of this?
It's a standard kind of legal document. It's offline. real purchase agreement between trustee and homeowner. And this agreement is registered at the government register of property. So it's a kind of transaction between two bodies in civil legal form. And if you want to sell this house, you will notify trustee. Trustee will make sure that the house is sold at the existing market price. He will also check the price with appraisal and make sure that trustee gets 10% of the home value during this sale and distribute this cash between token holders. If this sale of home is allowed before the settlement date, like I mentioned, there shall be a settlement date which actually connects property with token. At this settlement date, property is sold and cash distributed to token owners. So normally, when this day happens, trustee will make the sale, and property owner have preferred right to buy this part
But
of
they
this
don't have to sell the rest of their home, though. So just only 10% of that is gone. The token reaches its date where it has to, where that contract is finished. And so money has to exchange hands. Now, I've just sold 10% of my home. Now, the whole rest of my home's not being sold, though, right? I'm not selling 100% of my home and then have to move.
You have the right to buy this 10% at first place. So you have a privileged first hand, which can buy at market price this 10%. If you don't do this, then entire home is sold and you get 90% of cash. And token owners take 10% of cash. If you have mortgage when you apply for token sale of your house, there will be two options. First is issue and sell tokens and cover your mortgage, which is preferable for investors. Or you can sell the small part of your house and still have mortgage. However, investors would dislike this because it put additional risk to them in case of market price decline.
If this sounds unusual to those of you who are listening, it's because this is really the first time I've seen that any business has attempted to tokenize liquid assets. I mean, when you said, Valentin, that you can own a part of Mona Lisa, what does that mean? Like, can I own the part of the smirk?
So why not? The problem with illiquid assets that it takes years to eternity to sell works of art because transactions are very rare, and you would also pay 25% to Sotheby's, and the price will depend a lot on people who are gathered into the auction room. And the kind of emotional kind of decision of the last bidder. That's how the price is determined, and it's very inefficient way. When you provide exposure, when you provide opportunity to invest millions of small investors, market, and they can resell these tokens on a secondary market, then you get a big liquidity and liquidity premium, and you get price discovery, transparency, and full market forces working to make these markets efficient. And it's not a big problem to do so. You kind of do the same thing on our platform, like with your real estate. You sell part of Mona Lisa to trustee, and trustee is arranged in several years sale of Mona Lisa.
I just want to say that I own part of Mona Lisa. That right there. It'd be a very, very small.
That's 100.
Yeah. So Joel owns a piece
imagine-
of Mona Lisa. The Louvre has to then, now that a trustee has that 10% of Mona Lisa, Joel has a piece of Mona Lisa. Now I assume the Louvre has to actually sell the Mona Lisa so that way Joel can get his money for that Mona Lisa on that contract date. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, however, what is more important that even at settlement date, if trustee arrange a new token sale, he can roll over previous tokens. So he can buy back previous tokens and issue new tokens. This means that physically trustee doesn't need to sell Mona Lisa. So it's he can roll over tokens, and if trustee cannot roll over, then he sell Mona Lisa.
If you guys ever wondered just how deep this blockchain rabbit hole goes, it's one that Travis and I continue to see that it goes deeper, deeper. We don't know how deep this hole goes. It's fascinating stuff. Valentin Preobrazhensky, I think maybe I got it closer that time, the CEO of LAToken.com. Really briefly, I want our listeners to know about half of our audience is US based and the rest of you are other parts of the world. And we appreciate all of you. We've mentioned that there are certain tokens that fall under US securities laws. And for that reason, some ICOs are not open to United States citizens. However, once the ICO is over, then I believe this token will be tradable, I would imagine, on an exchange. Is that correct, Valentin?
Yes, it will be available at exchanges, and we are listing just in 1 week at several exchanges. So we have a very big legal firm and partners and in-house lawyers, and our board joined chief compliance officers from Deutsche Börse, from China Construction Bank, from COO UBS, responsible for regulation and compliance, so we decided before we kind of created a proper framework with SEC. We do not do token sale at USA, it's not because LAT is different from other tokens. No. LAT is a utility token if compared with other tokens. It works the same way. However, we believe this SEC may kind of change attitude to entire token sales, and we do not want to put any risk. So LAT is a utility token. However, we decided just to protect the business, which we are building sustainable for long term. And I'm sorry, it's not available for US.
No, we got it. Well, we really appreciate it. This is Очень хорошо. Very good in Russian. So Valentin Preobrazhensky, we really appreciate you jumping on. Thank you for that. And everyone, if you want to hear and watch us at the Bad Crypto Extra, we are going to do a video now where we can actually see the token, actually see their internal exchange. That might actually give some clarity to what we just heard. You're going to actually be able to see it. You'll see where the dates are, how much of this LAT token lot that you can, how much each thing costs and how it works. So cruise on over to YouTube, and that is badco.in/YouTube, and join us over there.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
And it's always a pleasure to bring you those that are working with companies doing cool and exciting things on the blockchain. Just, imagine that, Travis. I want to own a piece of the Mona Lisa smile.
Very nice. I think that would be very cool. There's all kinds of really interesting things, but I don't know if that's how that would work, because it sounded like they would have to, sell 10% of that, and then once they come to get the money, then they have to sell the Mona Lisa. So
Don't disrupt my fantasy. And can I
Okay.
just say, every time you say very nice, I hear Borat.
very nice, isn't very nice?
Very nice.
I like.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to this episode. As always, we appreciate your reviews, your comments, your questions. Call us at 708-885-9030. Still looking for some bad crypto chicks to call us and say the words "stay bad" so we can end the show with it. So where you at, ladies? Travis, why don't you end the show like a lady saying it?
Yes, call us at 708-885-9030 to leave a message as a real woman. Thank you, everybody. Stay bad.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.